All right, how is everyone doing? I'm Rich CELENZA. Thanks for tuning into the Rich CELENZA Show. WTF are you talking about? So today's subject, I want it to be about studies and how I think a lot of studies that are coming out are full of shit, especially on social media or on a lot of different news outlets. That would include, obviously, online articles. That would include the news that we watch either on public television or cable. So I'm just going to give you just something, that's just something that I believe. And I think what I'm going to get into today is people need to really realize is that a lot of what they're seeing, reading, is being pitched. There's an end to that, which is basically for you to buy something or for you to make you feel like you're either sick or your life's not the way it should be, or you need certain medicines to make yourself feel better, or you need to buy this or that, or do this or that to make yourself happy, and all this type of bullshit. They're usually, at the core of it, I'm not going to say it's a scam, it's just a pitch. It would be almost like a commercial. But because people use the words like we did research, we did a study, we did a poll, and this has nothing to do with politics, just so you know, that is not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about more or less kind of products. Hold on a second here. And even though a lot of it does sound very technical, and even though they say it took X amount of years, X amount of months, spoke to this many people, and it has even people that are supposedly well-known teachers, professors, professionals, all these different type of people attached, I think a lot of time it's a scam. I think most of the time it's a scam, especially now more than ever. So one thing I'm going to get into is something my mother actually first told me about. She said she was reading something regarding fitness and how most people burn more calories during the day that work out than later. And again, I'm going to call bullshit on that. I think when it comes to fitness, for instance, I'm just going to use this for an example. Not one person is like another. Not one person does the same workout as another. Not one person lives the exact same lifestyle as the other, unless you're basically like, Siamese twins, and you live the same life. But you also think differently. But when it comes to fitness and making these studies where also, let's just take a perspective, this fitness, what I'm talking about. We all eat different foods in the morning, so depending on what we ate, how we slept, how hard we work out, during the workout. Also, we have all different schedules. And for people to do studies, especially regarding fitness, a lot of times, when it comes to things like that, I'm going to call bullshit. And the one thing I've learned over the years, for one, to say even something like in the mornings, you're going to burn off more calories, and I see what they're getting at, because I think a lot of people think in the mornings is when people have a lot more energy, so they may work out a lot harder, which again, I don't believe at all. Most people, I think, for one, work out after work. And a lot of people may claim to be, more tired than in the morning. I'm actually quite the opposite. I think adrenaline is going. I'm warmed up throughout the day. I hate working out in the morning. I'm numb. I'm not as focused. I'm half asleep, half awake. So in the evening, or even in the afternoon, I'm a lot more attuned to what I'm doing. For me, I have a lot more energy. I also have a lot more food in my system for me. So if I eat breakfast and lunch, I'm really on the go. I'm ready to really get a good workout. I feel like I got a lot in the tank. If I go in the morning, for me, even if I had breakfast, it's not enough for me. That's just me again. And back to everybody having all these different things in their life. So when you hear studies again saying, if you do this during the day, or you do this during the evening, or if you sleep this amount of time, if you eat this type of food, I'm not going to say you don't get certain results. But I'm going to tell you one thing. What you have to learn how to do is study yourself. Do your own research strictly on yourself. Don't take what a lot of other people are claiming or what they've realized is going to work for you. Because again, and this is even if you work a typical 9-to-5 job, say you're a mother or father, you got 2 kids or whatever, say you just fall into kind of the like a lot of Americans, let's say, especially middle-aged, or even if you're younger. You're going to school, you're going to a college, or you're going to high school, you go to, this, and then you got a part-time job, or you may play a sport, blah, blah, blah. Again, I can assure you nobody lives your same lifestyle. Nobody's burning off the exact amount of calories. No one is doing anything remotely kind of the same. It may look the same. When you see, that's the thing about life I realize, is when we step outside and we look at other people's lives, you're always kind of like, oh, what does he do, my buddy? Oh, he wakes up, he goes to work, right? And at work, he's doing so many different things than you are probably doing. Even if you work with him, he's doing different things. He's answering different emails. He may be working construction. He may be doing whatever he's doing. It's different. Every day is different for everyone. Then after work, you may think, oh, all he does is go home, and then he has dinner with his kids, and then he sits maybe and watches Netflix. That may not be the case. He may get home. He may have to fix something. He may not go home. He may have to go to the store. He may go work out. He may go, help his kids do homework. He may have to take them somewhere. Say you're in college. I could assure you, college, if you followed 100 college students around, talk about different schedules. They all go to bed at different times. They party at different times. You know what I mean? Some take naps. Some don't. Some eat a certain way. Some don't. Some have girlfriends and boyfriends. Some don't. Some walk. Some bike. Some do this. So my point being is when you really read certain studies and certain things, you want to absorb that. I definitely think that a lot of surveys and things give you a nice idea of what is going on, especially regarding sometimes advice, sometimes. But you have to realize now it's time for you to study and see what's working for you. So for instance, burning calories or losing weight is what I should have said, is that may not be the truth for you in the morning. Because just like I said, I don't burn off nearly as many calories that I do in the afternoon. I burn off way more later in the afternoon than I do in the morning. I just know. And I know it also works better for me as far as my working out program goes. What I'm trying to get accomplished. I also know different results. For a long time, I was working out in the mornings, and I can just tell because, again, I would do my own studies. I'd follow the weight I would gain or lose. I'd actually do measurements on my arms because I was kind of caught up with gaining a lot of size. I was measuring my arms every week, my chest, my shoulders, everything. I was doing my own self-studying. I was also studying and seeing what foods worked best for me. At that time, I was trying to gain a lot of weight. So what I learned is I kind of like taking notes, and that's why I really love the iPhone, because people are really lazy. I'm not one who goes to the gym, though, and starts taking notes on everything I'm doing, set-wise, what I'm doing, how many reps I'm doing. All that shit's a distraction. When I work out, I almost feel like a surfer that is in the ocean, and it's fluent. I'm not in a contest. I'm not doing any of that shit. A lot of times I'm not even always counting my reps. I just get in there and flow and just do what I feel like doing when I feel like doing it. I flip-flop all different types of equipment. I never try to do the same workout. That's what I learned worked best for me. That may not work best for you. And I'm just using these as examples. But back to studying myself and taking notes. People, if you guys want, or anybody wants certain results, you have to understand, you have to have kind of a history to follow and see what's working and not. Just like if you were on, your own science project. I know that sounds crazy, and I talk about that regarding even, I call it Michelangeloing, like when it comes to fitness, like sculpting your own body, and be taking pictures of yourself from all different, sides, really studying the scale, not getting on the scale once a month or being afraid of the scale. Also seeing if, certain workouts are working out for you. And this can go for anything you do in life. That could even go for, like, I realized I fly a lot. I get so many things done on an airplane, I'm amazed. And a lot of people are like, how do you get done? How did you get this done? How do you get this done? I'm like, I don't get distracted. Certain things I realize, I'm on an airplane, I'm aggravated because I can't hear very well. So it's hard for me to watch a movie or television. For some reason, it's just... And then I also have the pilot or co-pilots constantly interrupting the movies a lot of times. They're talking in between them, or then you have somebody next to them, or you have a baby crying, or people are getting in and out of their seats, including myself. So it's a distraction. I don't like the distraction. So what I learned to do is say when I get on an airplane, I'm either going to read, or write. That's it for the most part. That's 99% of the time how I got things done as far as how I finished writing my 2 books, a lot of screenplays, and just studying all my notes. I'm always taking notes. It could be even on a podcast. It could be in notes that I'm taking as far as what videos I want to put up. All these different types of things. What's amazing is if I write something, I go back to it even a month, 6 months later, I'm like, oh my God, I forgot this happened, this worked, this didn't work. It's almost like, I write, I understand it's a journal, but it's more than even a journal. It's kind of like, it's a blueprint of my life, I guess you could say it would be, but it's constantly evolving. But the good news is I can go back and see again, because I think we forget a lot of times on what works and what doesn't work for us in life. And we also forget the mindset we were in. When I read a lot of notes that, or even the books, like say I read one of my books, my first book, and even, some old screenplays, I was really a different person mentally then. Even some of the things I'm writing, I'm like, holy shit, I like that, but what the hell were you thinking here? I evolved so much even from my first book and second book that it kind of blows me away because I didn't realize how unknowledgeable I guess I was. And now if I had to write another book, hypothetically, I'm sure in a few years I'd be like, wow, you used to think this way. You used to live this lifestyle, this certain way. Your kids were this age. You were doing this at this point. And again, going back to, if you really want to evolve, I think, as a human being, you have to really pay attention to who you are and how you're behaving. Obviously, if you listen to any of my podcasts, I talk about self-awareness. But again, study yourself. I think it's almost been frowned upon that if you pay too much attention to yourself, it's a bad quality. You're self-absorbed. What is that? I can't even think of the word here. Sometimes these words come in and out. Narcissistic or whatever. I can't even say that word correctly. I'm sorry about that, but I think you get the point. Where you're obsessed with yourself, and a lot of people, and you're very, what's the other word they always say all the time? You're very, it'll come to me. Where you're kind of caught up with yourself, your looks, and all those different types of things. And the truth is that's a good thing to a certain degree, as long as I think you're not obsessed with it. But if you're paying attention to yourself, pay attention to your skin. Are you taking care of your teeth? Look inside your eyes. Are they white? Or do you look healthy? How's your hair? How do you smell? All these different types of things. Are you in the shape you want to be in? Look at your body. Look at your feet. Look at your nails. Your hands. Your fingernails, your toenails. All these different types of things. Look at your behavior even. Like sometimes do research on yourself. I've talked about this in the past. Where, if you go back in Facebook, say you've been on it 10 years and you kind of see yourself, how did you evolve? Was it in a positive direction, a negative direction? What were you doing then? There might be a lot of things if you go back 10 years that you may have forgot that you loved doing. Then there's other things that you may go back and kind of be ashamed of, maybe some of your behavior, comments, or certain things. Again, those are all good things to kind of write down and learn about yourself. And that's the other thing I think too, is sometimes and I talk about this, just stop and thinking about yourself, and thinking about who you are and kind of what you want to do, but don't bullshit yourself a lot of times. Where I think a lot of times we're reading books on self-help, or we have all these different dudes we want to follow, which is wonderful. But most of that shit, it like fizzles out very quickly, right? So you'll even, you'll listen to somebody or watch a video or this or that and be all amped up and be like, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to make a change in my life. And then in a week or a month or whatever, you're right back to where you wanted to be. And the truth is, the reason you're probably in the position you were in is because that's where you feel the most comfortable, and we don't want to admit that. And I always say, in like when I'm trying to help men master their confidence and try to build up confidence, is first they have to accept who the hell they are. Because if you're not confident with who you are, then how the hell will you, how can you build any confidence? And the only way I think you're going to figure this out is by doing your own study on yourself. And not also getting so caught up in what everybody else is saying about you, what everybody else is doing towards you as well. And I think a lot of us, we live the life that we think other people would, or other people, we think, how do I say this? Like, you live a life that you want other people to perceive you as, when you should just be living the life you want to lead. But you're afraid to do that, like a lot of people, or you may not be afraid, but a lot of people are. So back to, let's loop right back to the beginning. So I'm going to actually end it soon. Is yes, please don't follow a lot of times what you're constantly hearing in all different types of surveys, studies, research on what everybody else is doing. And I always think as well is no matter what, they're going to find flaws in everything eventually. I don't care if it's even things we eat or drink or things we do. One minute a car is great because it gets you around. The next thing they're going to say it's ruining the environment, hypothetically. Milk can be good for your bones. The next thing you know, it's giving you cancer, hypothetically. I'm just using for example. Then the next minute is, I think the only thing that's never really been, and they sometimes even complain about that, is water. But everything that you think sometimes is good for you ends up bad, and things you think that are bad for you can end up good. There's always going to be a spin on it, and as you know, a lot of times you'll hear, oh, one glass of wine is great for your blood, and the next one, no alcohol is great for you, or the next one is, this amount of water is great for you, and then, oh, wait, this amount of water is great for you, or if you do this per day, it's good for you, and then you'll find out later, oh, that wasn't enough. Then the next time you find out, oh, that's too much, or there was that in this, and it's just eventually figure out what the fuck you want to do and what you want to drink and what you want to eat and the way you want to live. Because at the end of the day, then there's nobody else, basically, for one, controlling your life. And each decision you make is on your own. And, I talk about this too before, like, a lot of people like to smoke and drink, right? Or do certain things that may not be the healthiest, right? That's what they like to do. I mean, I have a lot of close friends, and I even was smoking a cigar this weekend in Boca Raton with my friends. And I did one at my birthday party as well. And I'm not a smoker. I don't have an addictive personality. But if I feel like having a goddamn cigar, I don't feel like I'm going to get cancer off one cigar or two cigars, or I'm going to get sick off it. I don't believe that. Where a lot of people, too, think that if they do something or try something, that it's going to lead down a horrible road. If you feel like doing something, just do it. And if you like smoking cigarettes, instead of beating yourself up or letting everybody else beat you up, accept it. That's what you like to do. It's a part of your identity. Now, in the future, you may want to quit smoking. I'd recommend it just because, I think a lot of people do get sick on it. But I have a lot of family members that smoke, and I'm never going to sit there and be like condemning them. Of course, I want them to live a healthier life. And same with drinking. You want to have a couple drinks, God bless. Now, if you're an alcoholic or getting DUIs or putting yourself in bad positions, that's a whole different thing. But if you like to drink, have a couple drinks. That's what you want to do. That's what you like doing. And if you like to do certain things and you keep preventing yourself, I think, from doing these things, you're going to, I think, sometimes end up very miserable. And that can go for anything. A lot of people like to work out. Some despise it. Right? But if you don't work out, don't beat yourself up on it. Right now, you may not feel like working out. In the future, you may like working out, or you may find something else you like to do that may help you. It could be walk, I talk about, swim, whatever the case may be. But yeah, please start doing research on yourself, and don't let a lot of this other bullshit, especially I think now with social media, where, almost every other post is someone telling you how fucked up things are with our country, or how screwed up things are in our foods, how screwed up things are. It's a constant negative flow, and if you don't do this now, this is going to happen in your life. If you don't do this now, you're going to end up in this situation. A lot of that is bullshit, just a heads up. I think it is, because I've looked over time, I'm going at 50 years old, what most people, I think, told me was full of shit, and then it's all like flip-flopping. One minute it's this way, the next minute it's this way, and then it's that way. So I'm going to leave it there. If you get a chance, you might want to check out my YouTube channel. I'm putting up a lot of videos lately regarding all different gyms I travel to throughout North America. I have a Mastering Self-Confidence program out. All you got to do is actually go to my webpage, richcelenza.com. You'll see it there. Or go to masteringselfconfidence.com. I'm also on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook as well. But please learn to study your own mind, your own actions, your own behavior. Stop getting distracted with all this stupid bullshit out there. All right? All right, take care, and if you're traveling, safe travels.